This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Oh, baby, look out. Bitcoin climbing 42,688. Woo! About to get 43,000.
You lied to us, though.
I know. My prediction, Manny, I lied to everybody. I guaranteed 40,000 by this Friday.
All right. Well, and you overshot it, bro. That's the way to do it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
right. Yeah, it's under promise, over perform. That's
exactly.
that's life,
Over
right
deliver,
there.
man. Over deliver.
That's it. Over deliver. That's what we do, bro. Wow, 43,000 it is headed for. That is awesome. I think it'll be by the way, prediction for real. It'll be 60K at the end of January.
Wow.
60K because the ETFs are going to be approved on January 10th. And BlackRock today just got approved $100,000 where they're going to start to fund their ETF. And all of these ETFs that they're going to approve from BlackRock, ARK Investment, T. Rowe Price, Fidelity, they have to buy billions of Bitcoin in order to fund all of those ETFs. What's it going to do to the price of that? It's going to skyrocket. So I think, and what you're seeing now are the investors that know the ETFs are coming, so they're trying to get in before these financial monsters get in, because then that's going to jack the price up. It'll be over 100 grand by the end of 2024. That wow. I can guarantee you. So 60 grand by the end of January and 100 grand by the end of 2024. That's where we're headed. So anyway, it is what it is. I just hope that the University of Miami football program was like Bitcoin, soaring, but it's it's not soaring. What'd you think of the whole Florida State thing? Because I was just talking with Safed about it, and I've lived this where I've watched, and I've repeated this a couple times now, so I'm sorry for those of you out there that watch, but whether it's Timmy Smith for the Redskins, whether it's Bernard Tiger Clark going for the 88 championship and we lose George Myra Jr. and we're like, oh, shit, dude. We lost the best linebacker we have for Oklahoma, and Bernard Tiger Clark was a nobody. And he came in and dominated, won the MVP, and lifted the Canes to a championship. And, Timmy Smith for the Washington Redskins, nobody knew him, and he rushed for 200 yards. Larry Brown had like 3 interceptions in a Super Bowl for the Raiders. Nobody knew who the hell he was. Michael Chang was all cramped up in the French Open and still beat Yvonne Lendl. We've watched, Brock Purdy, who's a freaking nobody, Mr. Irrelevant, gets the start and becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. We've watched the history of sports. People lift and do things. Billy Hatcher for the Reds batted like 600, and the Bash Brothers, all they could do was poke syringes at themselves and lose.
Yeah.
I've seen all of this, and to not give FSU the chance that maybe there is that person there. You're not happy with those quarterbacks, but what happens if the light goes on and he becomes Jeff Hostetler, and if he becomes Brock Purdy, and if he becomes that guy that all of a sudden, holy shit, Derek Anderson came out of nowhere and lifted the Browns one year. You took that possibility away from FSU. I understand the method behind the madness, but you did what was wrong fundamentally, because the Seminoles did everything that they were supposed to do in order for this opportunity, and then you didn't give them also the opportunity of maybe some sports magic also happening.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. I mean, really, that's what they did, is they took it away from them. They took that possibility away. And you can sit here and argue about who's most deserving, who's best, all that kind of stuff. What bothers me about this entire situation is they basically change whatever they change the formula to whatever it is fits their feeling at that moment, right? And right now you have a college football playoff committee who says, well, it's Jordan Travis's injury. They just didn't look the same, after the injury. Okay, well, sure. But like you said, guys step up in big moments, and you took that possibility away. Um, but the reality is, Alabama and Texas each lost games. They didn't, Florida State did not lose a game. And I thought one of the people who actually spoke best about this whole thing, I actually tweeted out a video clip, is former Florida coach Dan Mullen, who said, look, when you go to the Olympics, everybody says, hey, such and such figure skater is the best figure skater in the world, right? She's the best. There's nobody better than her. Then she goes out there and she slips twice. Guess what? She doesn't win the gold medal.
So let me ask you something. Let me and I'll add to that point right there. Did you think Carrie Strug was going to fucking win it when she's playing with
Right.
one foot?
Right,
And she
exactly.
goes and nails it and has the greatest vault, right? I think it's called, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
She spins up in the air 8 times and lands on that one good foot she has.
Right.
Rock solid, bro. And Carrie Strug brings the gold home in a moment you thought it was. In fact, you didn't even think she was going to compete.
Exactly.
If I remember correctly, it was so bad that we didn't think Carrie Strug was going to compete. And again, you have to give athletes an opportunity to show you their greatness, man.
Yeah.
You know.
This was entirely based on TV ratings and ESPN manipulating the system. That's what happened here.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's state some facts here. ESPN, Disney, they've been having some financial issues, right? The last thing that they want is to have another 65-7 game. And yes, the ACC is part of the ESPN network, but let's face it, they just spent $700 million to bring in the SEC, right? Who are the teams playing in this? You have Texas, who's a future SEC team, and you have Alabama, who's a current SEC team. What's
Right.
on the other side? A Big Ten team and a future Big Ten team. This is college football flexing its muscle and saying, we really have a power two, and the rest of you are screwed. And so for all the Miami fans who are laughing at Florida State right now, saying, ha, 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 you got left out of it. We got screwed in 2000, and now this is payback. You guys went in and played the national championship game against Oklahoma, and we couldn't, even though we beat you head to head. Don't laugh too hard, because the honest to God truth is the ACC is taking it up to you know what the next several years. What makes you think that if Miami goes 11-1 that they're going to get one of those 12 playoff spots?
Right.
Do you think the argument then is going to turn into, well, listen, Ole Miss went 10-2 and they have a much tougher conference. They deserve the spot ahead of Miami, right? That's what we're going to start to see here going forward. We're going to see college football devolve into a power two, and Miami and Florida State and Clemson and North Carolina and all the teams in the Big 12, that new revamped Big 12, they are screwed.
Yeah.
They are screwed. It is going to be the SEC Big 10 Invitational going forward. And if you are a fan of one of those schools that's not in those conferences, be scared, because unless you win the conference, you really have no way into dance.
Actually, even if you win the conference and you're undefeated, you still may not get in.
Well, I would assume once there's 12 spots, there's no way they could do that and get away with it.
Yeah.
But hey, 11-1, they'll open the door to 10-2, right? And they'll open the door to 9-3, and they'll say, no, this team played a much tougher schedule because and what I love is the hypocrisy of this all. It's ESPN says, well, it's the strength of schedule, right? It's the strength of record. Who controls all of those numbers? What website do they get those numbers from?
Yeah, TV is where
It's off of their own analytics. It's off of ESPN's. So of course they can control the results. So to me, this has sort of become a monopoly, college football, right? And I don't know if the government can really do anything about it, but I think there's certainly a lot of corruption here, and it deserves to be fairly examined at the very least.
That's crazy, dude. Just absolutely crazy to see what's going on. All right, what's the latest on the Kane side, recruiting and everything else? What's Mario working on?
Well, listen, I mean, I raised this question on Twitter yesterday. I said, I wonder how many, if you were to, ask all the college football coaches today who aren't playing in the playoff, hey, how excited are you about bowl prep? I guarantee you the percentage would be very, very low, because they're so preoccupied right now, with worrying about next year's roster, who's leaving, who are they getting in the transfer portal, what are they getting on the recruiting trail, which coaches are leaving, who do I have to replace? It's a terrible time to be worrying about to go play in the stupid Pinstripe Bowl that, by the way, most of the best players on both teams are not going to play in because they're going to the NFL. So that this is the case across college football. I really think they got to move the bowl games to April and screw this whole thing of rewarding the seniors and all this other stuff. And like, to me, it's just a bad time. The college football calendar has changed. It is a bad time. Mario Cristobal's worried about his roster right now. He's trying to get a quarterback. There's a lot of experienced quarterbacks on the portal. He's trying to fill some holes at defensive tackle. He's trying to fill some holes at safety. So it's a very busy time. A lot of different names have been thrown out there as far as the quarterback position. I think personally, Miami needs somebody who's more of a dual threat in terms of playing the quarterback position. That's why I think a guy like Cam Ward from Washington State. He's very experienced. He's started 44 games in his career, between there and Incarnate Ward. He's a mobile quarterback. He's not going to run for 1,000 yards, but he's not going to be a statue back there either. And he's gonna
They're battling like FSU and somebody else for him.
There's a lot of schools that are in on Cam Ward.
Was it Mississippi State also? That might
Well,
be
Mississippi State lost their quarterback, and Jeff Lebby, I guess, is the coach over there now. He's got connections to some other guys being a quarterback, guru / OC. There's a lot of different guys. I have a list here of some of the names. Riley Leonard from Duke is probably going to end up at Notre Dame. Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma is a big time guy. He started 49. It's crazy. This guy started 49 games in college and he still has eligibility left. Okay. Will Howard from Kansas State is a guy, 27 career starts. He's a guy that Miami, I think, is looking at. DJ Uiagalelei, of course, who was at Clemson, went to Oregon State. Now he's back on the market, 42 career starts, a dual threat type guy. Dante Moore from UCLA, the freshman, started 5 games this year. He's a former 5-star. Ohio State's quarterback just entered the portal yesterday. I mean, to me, anybody who says, well, Miami's going to get their quarterback in the next couple of days, I would be surprised, because I just think there's too many guys that they have to reach out to, talk numbers, hey, how much are we going to pay this guy to come here? And then figure out, okay, they need to meet with the offensive coordinator, right? They need to meet with Shannon Dawson, they meet with Mario. So to me, I think this is going to be a process that plays out for a little while.
What do you got, Sean?
Hey, Mark, Manny, question for you. Like with Dylan Gabriel yesterday, leaving Oklahoma to go to Oregon, is this more NIL driven, or so many quarterbacks are leaving now? Is it just NIL, or is there more to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of this is, guys looking out for themselves, right? What offense can I go thrive in so I can make a name for myself in the NFL, right? Like, how can I really impress? And that's why when these kids go through the recruiting process, they develop relationships with so many different teams that you can't really blame them, right? Like, I want to go to Oklahoma, and I want to go to Florida, and I want to go to Florida State. I want to visit all of these campuses so that in the event I get to college, I get screwed over, there's a coaching change, whatever happens, I have other people to call. So to me, this all comes down to, who do these guys honestly have the best relationships with from a coaching perspective? Where can they go to really thrive? And then where can they get the most money? It's a combination of all of those factors. There were over, I think, 1,100 names that entered the transfer portal yesterday alone. That doesn't include grad transfers and other people who have already entered prior to that, or even, players that were at schools where there were coaching changes. So it's going to be a very, very busy time. And that's why when people say to you, Manny, who's Miami looking at? I'm telling a lot of people, they're looking at people on other people's rosters right now, because ultimately, if they could convince the best players that are on other rosters to leave and to come play here, that's what they're going to do. They want the best. They don't want the scrubs who aren't playing. They want the guys who are good that can help them win. And so this is the wild, wild west. That's why when Mario Cristobal says it's the wild west, he really means it, because between all the backdoor channeling and what's the word I'm looking for? When you're trying to pick off players, in the NBA, when you can get in trouble for it, tampering, all the tampering type stuff. Like, that's what's going on. That's what's going on right now. Everybody's negotiating, looking out for themselves. It is ridiculous. And that's why I think at some point, college football has to go to a contract type system where you either sign a deal for 1 or 2 years, you get paid X amount of money, and if things don't work out, they release you and you get some compensation, and whatever the case is. But it has to be, we've gotten to a point where there needs to be some sort of system to keep everything in check.
Yeah. The only thing is, I don't know how you do that, to be quite honest, because if the coaches can move, it creates problems for the players. So they're still going to have some kind of flexibility that way too, because that's the reason why we're in this problem as it is. Because
Right.
of all the coaching changes, it always used to screw the players over because the coaches could change and the players were stuck there, or the programs would go into probation and the coach could move on easily. And you know what I mean? So yeah, man, I don't know. I don't have the answer on that one. It's just so damn complicated. All right. So it sounds to me like you have no answer right now for quarterback. It just seems like it's
I just think
way
there's more
too
guys
much.
that
There's
yeah,
too much up in the air.
yeah, I think there's just more. Look, there's certainly guys that they're looking at, right? But like I said, I think we haven't gotten to the point where they've necessarily identified and said, okay, this is our guy. We really feel strongly he's going to come here, and now it's a matter of money. I think they're still in the hey, let's see who else enters the portal, right? Let's see who else decides they're leaving. Could that guy be a better option for us?
Right.
And so all of that comes into play, and that's the way the system works now. It's, hey, is this guy going to jump in? Because if he jumps in, that's who we want to pay. We don't want to necessarily put our money towards somebody who's lesser because they're desperate and they're just looking to go somewhere else. So that's the game, and that's why, you go back to last year when with the transfer portal, like Miami was picking up players, late in the game. It wasn't like I think I'm trying to remember when it was that Maui Go's brother ended up committing. It wasn't until like January or something. They got Matt Lee after that. Like it's just a process where it never ends. Like it's a never-ending offseason. I know there's a 30-day window here, but between grad transfers and all the different loopholes people use, like I just think it's going to be a very interesting month, and buckle up because there's going to be a lot of rumors to chase. There's going to be a lot of, hey, is this guy entering type stuff. It's not going to be over and done with quickly.
Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Catch his work there at The Athletic. Manny, as always, I appreciate you, my man. We will catch up on Friday and talking a little Canes, man. Thank you, sir.
Anytime, brother. You take care.
You got it. There you go. Don't forget, folks, use our code BIG010 to get 10% off here at Caneswear, whether you come in person, whether you do it online. Go to caneswear.com, and when you buy over $99, you will get free shipping too. So use our code BIG010 to get 10% off here at caneswear.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.